Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be painting a mini still life study in oils using Arches oil painting paper. Before I continue, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. Now, this is my first time using this paper. I've used several surfaces in the past while painting with oils, including canvas paper, but this is my first time working with this particular type of surface. I find it's a really good heavy paper and it's cold pressed, so it's slightly textured. At first, because I work in thin layers and I use very little paint on my brushes, I found that the brush was fighting the paper a little bit, and I was able to fix this by adding linseed oil to my paint. Once I added the linseed oil, I found that the paint had a nice flow and was easy to apply. And the paint also adhered quite nicely to the paper, and I found that blending my paint was just as easily done as while painting on a canvas. And because it also absorbed into the paper, I needed less paint to get good coverage. Normally, I might apply a few coats of paint for full coverage because I paint in such thin layers, but I found I needed much less paint to get good opaque coverage with this paper. And with this paper, I found the ability to layer my paints was also quite nice. I find that even though the paint absorbed into the paper, it did take a little bit longer to dry enough for me to add more layers. But that's because probably I added linseed oil, and we know that linseed oil slows drying time. And the oil is also why I have a bit of a glare in this video, and I apologize for that, but it's completely unavoidable when you're painting with oils. So now this stage in the painting is after I had set it aside for a few hours, and the paint did soak into the paper a little bit more, and now I was able to add even more layers. So at this point I'm able to start adding some of the light green on top of the red paint. Also, going back to this after it's sat aside for a few hours, some areas were more dry than others naturally, especially with the burnt umber section in the background. Burnt umber is a much quicker drying paint, let's say, than the red. So the red was still a lot more wet than the brown parts were. In some of the drier sections, I found that the brush was meeting with a little bit of resistance again, but all I did was, again, a little bit more linseed oil to my paint mixture. And I also found that adding lighter layers as well as opaque layers was quite easy also, since the underlayer had set into the paper. All in all, I'm quite pleased with this paper. It's a really beautiful surface to work with, quite easy to apply paint on it. I find I could paint a lot faster on this, especially when working with studies. So I'm really pleased generally with how the paint's applied and the drying time and how I was able to layer my paint. I'm also quite pleased with how there was no buckling at all in the paper, and also the paper was able to handle the oils quite nicely without having any seepage or any oils or any of the paint seeping right through to the other side of the paper. When I look at the other side of my painting, the paper is still completely white and shows zero signs of having any oils soaking through. So I'm definitely going to be using this paper a lot in the future, especially when I want to do quick studies or even some of the YouTube tutorials and I don't want to use expensive canvases or other surfaces. So I really do highly recommend this paper for anyone who is learning to paint with oils or even acrylics for that matter. And if you don't want to spend too much money on canvases or other expensive surfaces, this will be a great paper for people to learn and practice on. I'm going to give this paper a 2 thumbs up. I was really delighted with it and I really enjoyed working with this paper. I want to also let you all know that I am in no way sponsored by Arches. I just wanted to share a great product that I think people would be interested in, especially for those who want to use something inexpensive to practice on. I'm also looking forward to trying it with perhaps a larger size like an 8 by 10 or even an 11 by 14. Now the edges had been taped off with painter's tape, which is gentle enough to not rip the paper off as I pull the tape off. And this way I have some nice clean edges, and I would be able to take this little study and frame it in a nice little 5 by 7 frame. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments if you want to see more oil painting videos or more pastels, as well as if you want to see more still lifes or more animals. It would be really helpful to me if I knew which videos my followers would like to see. So thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.